Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 2 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sipple, for the opening game of the day, which will be contested between West Bromwich Albion Dudley and GBG Knights. Let's bring you the squads quickly. Before I bring you the action live, I'll talk about how these two fared across their fixtures yesterday and then cast our thoughts ahead to the season in its entirety. West Bromwich Albion Dudley with a nice complement at their disposal. Number 1, Amy Sherman. Number 8, Lewis Marshall. Number 10, Jack Ebanks. Number 11, Jack Gorder. Number 13, Laura Evans. Number 17, Kian Collins. Number 28, Noah Harvey. And number 33, Jack Westmoreland. A very accomplished coaching duo in Dave Lewis and Matt Gilbert. GBG Knights can go top of the table with a win here, with a superior goal difference on Muscle Warriors, currently in first, but playing a game more would mean that the current league leaders would have a game in hand. They're comprised of number 6, Reese Mallet, number 8, Kai Shah, number 10, Oscar Smedley, number 11, George Holloway, number 18, Jack Ewins, and number 42, Troy Willicombe. Their coach, Kai Shah. Let's clear them graphics. You can see the teams are out and ready for action. Live on court A, currently being called by Greg Baxter, Teesside Steel versus Villa Rockets Lions. So two fantastic fixtures to kick-start Sunday's rounds of fixtures. Paul Yates in the centre gets the thumbs up from Laura Evans, gets the thumbs up from Jack Ewins, and blows his whistle to kick off proceedings in the 2024-25 Optegra Championship. Just to go back to Paul Yates very quickly, just want to say a huge congratulations to him. This is officially his 100th game as a central referee, which will make him the 12th recipient of the recently created Steve Baxter Memorial Coin, which acknowledges any match officials that centre 100 National League games. Huge congratulations to him. That's an incredible achievement and accolade, as we've already got some contact as Reese Mallet, just spoken to by Paul Yates. So as the teams line up, Laura Evans is in the mint green turquoisey goalkeeper jersey. In front of her, Lewis Marshall. To the left, Jack Ebanks, and Kian Collins is on the right side. GBG Knights have Jack Ewins in goal in white. Kai Shah on the ball now, trying to find Reese Mallet on the left as you view it, the right of GBG Knights, and on the other wing, the very impressive Oscar Smedley, making only his second weekend appearance in the WFA National League. So these two had two fixtures yesterday. GBG Knights opened with a 1-1 draw against Teesside. Probably fortunate to get a point from that one. It was a late penalty, which was scored, I believe, by Jack Ewins. Following that, an emphatic 4-0 victory over Manchester United. Really is a fantastic result. Arguably their best in the 24-25 season thus far. But GBG Knights, formerly Nomad Knights, rebranded in the off-season. They've brought in a new cohort of players. It's just refreshed things, and they've got this new purpose, this new vigour that we haven't seen in a year or so. Obviously, when Nomad Knights were in the championship, 22-23, they were fairly formidable. And we're seeing essences of that amongst GBG Knights' performances so far, as Kean Collins dispossesses Reece Mallet, flicked back. But really intrigued to see how this one plays out. As you can probably see on your screens this weekend, we're proudly celebrating and acknowledging Stonewall's Rainbow Laces campaign, an initiative that celebrates inclusion in sport, reminding us that football is for everyone, no matter who they are. Power chair football's always been about bringing people together, and it's a campaign that reflects the values that we hold so close: respect, inclusion, community, amongst many others. And of course, this National League isn't possible without the support of our amazing sponsors, Optegra. Who provide innovative treatment and eye care, ensuring that thousands of people can see more clearly every year. One thing I really like about this West Bromwich Albion Dudley squad, and it's a sentiment that can be applied to a lot of teams across the Championship division, they've got big squads. Had the pleasure of commentating a couple of games with Chris Gordon yesterday, and we spoke at length about how long and grueling seasons can be. Certainly teams such as GBG Knights and West Bromwich Albion Dudley, as GBG Knights putting some beautiful passing together. These teams will compete across cup competitions, leagues, regional leagues, national leagues. So sometimes, depending on how far you go within them respective competitions, you can be playing upwards of 30, 40, maybe even 50 games. So having a big squad to call upon is a real asset if you're a Dave Lewis, if you're a Matt Gilbert. As always, a huge thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Get your comments and predictions in the comment section, and I'll endeavour to give you a shout out as Lewis Marshall, recently transferred from Manchester United, plays it in the middle to Jack Ebanks. Over to Oxford Smedley, is an open goal there. Laura Evans brilliantly just reverses to cover the post. Shot off target anyway. But GBG Knights starting to create some really good openings and chances. It's something we've seen across the games they've played thus far. Expansive passing football. Often adopting a 4-out approach. When I say 4-out approach, it's when you utilise all 4 players in attacking phases of play as well. So you can see Jack Ewins contributing to his team's advancement up the pitch at the moment. All players currently within the West Bromwich Albion Dudley defensive half. So that it's essentially about creating overloads in attack. Because of the rules, and 2-on-1 typically favours the attacking team if you've got an overload, but as you'll see, there's a huge vulnerability if they manage to break the lines and bypass maybe Kai Shah or Reece Mallet. So it does come with its risks. Across the box, Reece Mallet's going to line up a shot. Just flicked off the front of Lewis Marshall's chair. Out of play. It was a mixed day for West Bromwich Albion Dudley yesterday. 1-0 defeat to Muscle Warriors. Reece Mallet just cushions the pass. And that is a really nice attempt from Kai Shah. It was a deft touch. Just guided towards that left-hand post. But I'm beyond impressed with what I'm seeing from GBG Knights so far. Beautiful passing football. But this is what I was talking about if you can break the lines, you can potentially break, and then in turn you create the overloads in the counter-attack. as I was saying, that it was a 1-0 defeat to Muscle Warriors, which is far from disappointing considering where Muscle Warriors are. 7 wins from 7. They're yet to concede a single goal in the 24-25 campaign, and I think they're the only team within our whole National League that can boast that statement. That was followed by an emphatic 6-0 victory over AFC Bournemouth Warriors, who are rooted to the bottom of the table. Goal scorers in that one: Jack Ebanks, Kean Collins, Lewis Marshall, Noah Harvey and Jack Gorda. So a number of their players getting on the score sheet this weekend, which will in turn give them confidence to hopefully take into games such as this. On paper, I would probably say this is their toughest game, as Oscar Smedley lined up a beautiful shot, but it was good defensive positioning from Laura Evans to prevent the initial chance. The danger is still live via Reese Malik. Kai Shah has to drop off. Anyone that follows the WFA social media would have seen a post that we released a few days ago acknowledging the top scorers in the National League Championship, or certainly the active players. Reese Mallett, of course, as he just beautifully provides a pass to Oscar Smedley. Very much on the back foot, West Bromwich Albion Dudley now, as Lewis Marshall just ushers it out of play. But as I was saying, Reese Mallett currently third in the all-time top goal scorers, actively competing in the Championship. Across his power chair football career, he has netted 80 goals. He's featured for Reading PFC, most notably Muscle Warriors, for the last 5 or 6 seasons, and now a change of scenery, teammates. When you're talking about narratives and stories, certainly as it's playing out currently, Reese Mallett will be locked in a title race with his previous club. But I'm sure he will always have a soft spot for the team that hails from Watford. Muscle Warriors will be next up on Court A, where they take on Sale United, looking to extend their perfect record without a single blemish. Whilst they haven't conceded a single goal, they're not overly prolific in front of it. GBG Knights, as already mentioned, have a far superior goal difference. 3 points here would see them leapfrog them momentarily, as Oscar Smedley just guides it down into this bottom hand corner, probably just out of shot. Kai Shah off the front of Lewis Marshall's chair. Lewis Marshall is a player I rate really highly. He's just found a little bit more confidence and minutes in this Dudley team as opposed to Manchester United, as Reese Mallett lines up a shot. Almost curse of the commentator. The gap was open. Kai Shah acted as the screen. But 11.5 minutes in, West Bromwich Albion Dudley 0. GBG Knights 1. It's been fairly one-way traffic in the game so far, so be interesting to see how they switch things up. They've made a substitute, a double substitute for that matter. Amy Sherman and Jack Gorda entering the court. First time they've really managed to hold a position up the court. It's Jack Gorda across the box, and Lewis Marshall at the back post, well adjusted by Kai Shah initially. Really nice ball from Jack Gorda. Amy Sherman getting right into the swing of things, forcefully dispossessing Kai Shah into the side of Jack Ewins. Eventually out of play. Much better from West Bromwich Albion Dudley. This is the momentum they're going to want to maintain. Confirmation of that second substitute. That's when I touch on that versatility and being able to call on the bench to switch things up in an instant if it's not going in your favour, as Lewis Marshall takes possession. There's intent now from West Bromwich Albion Dudley. The first time we've seen it, 13 minutes in. Jack Gorder, once again, with responsibility of the dead ball. Into the box. It's a fairly prolific season for Jack Gorder in the 23-24 campaign. 15 National League finishes, added to 5 assists, so 20 goal contributions, which shows he's a real asset to this side. One of my favourite players in the entire division. As Reece Mallett just backs off. Slight miscommunication with Kai Shah as to who was going to engage that ball, and Laura Evans. Down to Jack Gorder. Across the box. Beautiful pass. Over to Amy Sherman. Brilliantly defended by Jack Ewins. But you're seeing that impact from Jack Gorder being influential in attack. Much better from West Bromwich Albion Dudley, who are now taking the game to GBG Knights. Laura Evans with responsibility of this kick-in into the front of Kai Shah's chair. That's going to roll all the way down to where I'm situated in the bottom left-hand corner. Nil-nil between Villa Rockets Lions and Teesside Steel on Court A. That's also live across the WFA's YouTube channel. We've got so many exciting games today. As Oscar Smedley puts it across the box. Reece Mallett lines up, but didn't quite have the coordination to make contact, which will be a relief to Laura Evans. Reece Mallett now. Got Kai Shah on the edge of the box. Tries to switch play. Just playing it off Laura Evans' chair. Very congested. Arguably a 2-on-1. It's a lot. All the while that Laura Evans maintains a position within her box, it will not be a 2-on-1. That's why you're seeing Lewis Marshall drop right back onto the goal line. Good work from Amy Sherman. Greater intent of keeping the ball live, so wins her side the kick-in. West Bromwich Albion Dudley 0, GBG Knights 1, 16.5 minutes played. Lewis Marshall just edging his way up the court. I would love an equalising goal prior to the half-time break. It will completely change the dynamic of this. Lewis Marshall just trying to play it off Jack Ewins. Down to Oscar Smedley. Across the box, blocked by Laura Evans. As always, at the conclusion of the weekend, we will be holding a Team of the Weekend poll. keep an eye on the WFA social media channels to find information on that. We also acknowledge and receive votes for who you believe to be the standout player of the weekend and unsung hero of the weekend. When I say unsung hero, I mean someone maybe gets overlooked, not necessarily a player that is competing towards the summit, but just someone who is really invaluable to their team, whether they're staving off relegation or looking for one of the automatic promotion spots, as Kai Shah uses that front bumper to guide an effort goal bound, restricted by the defensive pair of Lewis Marshall and Laura Evans. Substitute for GBG Knights, Oscar Smedley comes off. Very bright cameo from that young man. George Holloway, current top goal scorer of the Optegra Championship, on in his place. 10 goals to his name, which is really impressive. Add to that the fact that he didn't register a single goal last season, and he also is fairly high up in the assist charts as well. Six assists to add to his 10 goals. On the topic of Oscar Smedley as well, 12 assists. Considering GBG Knights, this is their 8th game of the 24-25 season, which is also his 8th game of his National League career. To have 12 assists is fairly unprecedented. You're seeing players come in and make their National League debut and just seamlessly adapt to the pace and the quality of play. Paul Yates, the whistle in his mouth. We've had the regulation 20. GBG Knights, if you're looking at the stats, as Paul Yates blows for half-time. If you're looking at the stats, they've averaged just under 4 goals per game so far in the division. So it's really promising stuff. If you look at the top assists, GBG Knights players comprise the top 3 positions. Oscar Smedley on 12, George Holloway and Kai Shah both on 6 apiece. And then referencing the top goal scorer stats as well, as already mentioned, George Holloway on 10, Jack Ewins on 5, Kai Shah on 4, as well as Reece Mallet and Troy Willicombe. So each of their players is contributing in front of goal, which is fantastic to see. Thank you to all that are tuning in. I'll be back very shortly for the second half. Hello everyone and welcome back to game week 2 of the 2024-25 Optegra Championship, where you join myself, Ryan Sybil, for the second half of action in this fixture between West Bromwich Albion Dudley and GBG Knights. GBG Knights, a goal to the good at present, having scored a well-worked opportunity from Reece Mallet to Kai Shah to Oscar Smedley, back across the box to Reece Mallet to register yet another goal to his name. Already one of the most prolific scorers in the Championship division, certainly when you're considering the full context of the National League. We are underway. But following that, West Bromwich Albion Dudley made the change, made a switch up. They brought on Jack Gorder and Amy Sherman and arguably finished the half the better of the two teams. So if they can channel that and look to maintain that momentum, we should have a really entertaining 20 minutes on our hands, as Paul Yates officiating his 100th game in the National League, becoming the 12th recipient of the Steve Baxter Memorial Coin, a prestigious award that acknowledges 100 games as a central referee. It's Kai Shah down to Troy Willicombe, down to Jack Gorder, guides it across the box, didn't quite have the power to meet its intended target of Amy Sherman. Substitute in the break has seen Troy Willicombe come on in place of the goal scorer Reece Mallet, but already fairly end-to-end stuff. Corner ball for GBG Knights to be taken by the man on your screen, Troy Willicombe. Just playing it off Lewis Marshall. Second successive corner. Back to Kai Shah. Uses the front bumper to just send it into that wall. Nothing to trouble Lewis Marshall nor Laura Evans, so a goal kick will resume play. Thank you to everyone that's tuning in live on Court A. Teesside Steel currently at a deadlock with Villa Rockets Lions. Jack Ewins now contributing to attack. Just to go through the squads that are lining up. West Bromwich Albion Dudley, Laura Evans, Lewis Marshall, Amy Sherman and Jack Gorder. GBG Knights, Jack Ewins, Kai Shah, George Holloway and Troy Willicombe. Mentioned in the first half how influential Jack Gorder is. 20 goal contributions in the 23-24 championship season. He was also present in the fantasy team of the year, so it was a fairly sensational season for the young man. Can he match or better that across the 24-25 campaign? Kai Shah, indirect free kick, has to go via the chair of an opponent or teammate. Troy Willicombe, the closest option in the box, but goes down to George Holloway. Something I highlighted on commentary yesterday when watching GBG Knights is just that timing and connection of George Holloway. Just missed a number of chances, but applying the full context, the fact that I've highlighted it, but he's still the league's top goal scorer. No doubt, as the season grows on and his confidence grows, he will get better and better And instances such as that will be ironed out and he'll make contact. I have no doubt he'll be right in and around that mix come the conclusion of game week 5 to be registered as the league's top goal scorer. Good work from Kai Shah, such a forceful player. George Holloway across the box to Troy Willicombe. Easy work. They just seem to switch it on in an instant. And Troy Willicombe, just under 5 minutes since his introduction, scores his 5th goal of the season. George Holloway with his 7th assist of the season. West Bromwich Albion, Dudley 0, GBG Knights 2. Will we see Dudley switch things up? Just isn't working for them at the moment. I'm really hoping that they would continue that positive momentum in which we saw them end the first half. Still 15 or so minutes left to be played. It's far from over. But at the moment, certainly in this second half, it's been fairly comfortable for GBG Knights. Lewis Marshall's going to line up an effort. Maybe caught in two minds as to whether to have an attempt at goal or pick out Jack Gorder. He wasn't as deep or advanced. He does on that occasion. Probably would have liked to have seen Jack Gorder use that front bumper there. Back to Lewis Marshall. Kai Shah was always closing the space. And the aim of the game is essentially creating as much space between you and the opposition as possible. Being a four-a-side format on a typical basketball-sized court, space is a commodity. It's hard to come by. And that's what we're seeing GBG Knights do brilliantly with this passing, attacking style of football as Kai Shah switches it back to George Holloway. Can't quite get the connection, but it was a fired effort. Must be, what, 4 meters between Kai Shah and George Holloway, so he never had the time to set. As a 2-on-1 is signalled by Paul Yates. Kai Shah to George Holloway. Once again, it's just that connection. Maybe he intended to control it, but in doing so, it just allowed Laura Evans to set. George Holloway, formerly of AFC Bournemouth Warriors, as was Jack Ewins. Over to George Holloway, cleared by Laura Evans. Matt Gilbert's just come across, the coach of West Bromwich Albion Dudley, to signal to Jack Westmoreland and Noah Harvey to get ready to enter the action. Jack Westmoreland, another excellent player, young up-and-coming talent. He'll be looking to make his mark. He's got 4 goals to his name this season, which I think matches his entire 23-24 campaign. So shows that he's starting to add goals to his name. Noah Harvey, a player I really rate. Watched him a few times last season. Just like the positions he puts himself in. He's a real creator, can strike a dead ball really well. Can they help guide this result in their favour? We will see. Laura Evans just forces it down to Jack Westmoreland, unable to keep it in play, unfortunately. Down to Laura Evans. Jack Ewins just controls that ball and tries to bypass Noah Harvey. Just backs up. Out for a GBG Knights ball. Half hour played on court A between Villa, Rockets, Lions and Teesside Steel. Still 0-0 here, just ticking over into 30 minutes. West Brom and JLB Dudley trailed by 2-0. GBG Knights with this result will go top of the table and have a point buffer over Muscle Warriors. With this, they've got a plus 29 goal difference, which hopefully just speaks volumes to how prolific they are in front of goal. Can they make it count here? Troy Willicombe trying to return the favour to George Holloway, but unable to find its intended target. But Muscle Warriors would have a game in hand. But already we're seeing these two teams go head to head. As Kai Shah's picked out brilliantly by George Holloway. Forceful play by Laura Evans, which sets Jack Westmoreland away. It's a fairly daunting task of trying to bypass Kai Shah. He's so effective at just shielding Jack Ewins and his defensive structure. With this result, West Bromwich Albion Dudley would remain in 10th. Should Villa Rockets Lions manage to secure a win against Teesside Steel on court A, they would leapfrog them in the table. So it just shows every result has an impact on the league standings, which hopefully is a testament to how competitive this division is. George Holloway, back to Jack Ewins, Jack Westmoreland. Desperately trying to find out a way past the GBG Knights number 18. Laura Evans needs to be careful there. Jack Ewins was played brilliantly to prevent the crossfield ball. Pick off from George Holloway, back to Jack Ewins, into the side of Laura Evans' chair. Noah Harvey trying to flick it out on this left-hand wing. Jack Westmoreland in plenty of space, but getting the ball to him much easier said than done. Out of play for a Dudley ball. Laura Evans weaves past George Holloway brilliantly. As I've already referenced, they just can't find a way past Kai Shah. As the officials signal for a substitute, it will be a GBG Knights change. Whether it's a player change, I don't know. I can see Troy Willicombe has taken the designated goalkeeper jersey off of Jack Ewins, who will now play in the centre. Kai Shah comes off. Reese Mallet, the opening goal scorer, comes back on. So if you're West Bromwich Albion Dudley, I think now is your chance to really try and attack this game with such a key player taking himself off. But Jack Ewins, having probably it's not even probably, he is having his best season in the National League. Playing with a smile on his face, which is really fantastic to see. Reece Mallet into Jack Ewins, flicked to Noah Harvey. Nicely struck, but into the back wheel of Jack Ewins. George Holloway picks off back to Ewins in the centre. He's going to try and flick the ball. Beautiful feint. It looked as if he was going to Reece Mallet, to George Holloway. And once again, it's just that timing and connection that lets George Holloway down. But just to shine a spotlight on that pass was absolutely beautiful from Jack Ewins. Even I suspected him to pass out to Reece Mallet on the left, confusing both me and the opposition. So there's me talking about Kai Shah coming off and it being an opportunity for Dudley to try and grow in stature. I'm silenced almost immediately by the quality of Jack Ewins. Jack Westmoreland trying to beat this press. You look at GBG Knights players, they've committed Reece Mallet, Jack Ewins and George Holloway right up into that final third. So any and all passes from Jack Westmoreland and his teammates need to be fired with laser accuracy, otherwise they're just going to be dispossessed almost immediately, and that's probably a better decision. Just try and get it up the court. George Holloway hesitates momentarily, rotates spin kicks into the side of Laura Evans' chair to Jack Westmoreland. Nice passing play, just ricochets off his chair. Jack Ewins and GBG Knights come away with the kick in. 4 minutes remaining. Dudley 0, GBG Knights 2. It's been a real professional performance from GBG Knights. One final game for GBG Knights this weekend against Manchester City. Certainly, if you're looking at it on paper, which I'd be reluctant to do, you would say GBG Knights far the favourite for that one. But Manchester City have just blown me away this weekend. They've come on leaps and bounds since last year. And we're seeing teams show clear development. Jack Westmoreland, unfortunately just can't quite find the accuracy. Noah Harvey was in a lot of space on this left-hand side, the right-hand wing of West Bromwich Albion. Dudley. They'll face Villa Rockets Lions in their final game of the weekend. Currently 0-0 still between Teesside Steel and Villa Rockets Lions. But I'll be next up commentating on Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest, and Greg Baxter and Troy Willicombe will be calling the action from Muscle Warriors versus Sale United on Court A. Final 2 minutes. Jack Ewins to Reece Mallet. Nice connection into the side of Amy Sherman's chair. Reece Mallet just off the back of Laura Evans. Corner kick. 90 seconds remaining. Ewins into Troy Willicombe. That is a beautiful goal. Well met by the front bumper of Willicombe to top off a fantastic performance. Troy Willicombe with his second. Jack Ewins with the assist. West Bromwich Albion, Dudley 0. GBG Knights 3. Just been a brilliant performance from start to finish. They weathered a little bit of resistance towards the end of the first half, but beyond that, it's been fairly one-sided. For that, I give credit to every single one of them. They've all contributed in one way or the other. If I was to be pushed for a player of the match, it would be Jack Ewins. Just really liked what I've seen from him. Provides stability in defence when he's adorning that goalkeeper jersey, but influential and technical and cute in attack. Final 10 seconds, it's full time. On court A, 0-0 it finished between Villa Rockets Lions and Teesside Steel. We've had the regulation 20 here. I doubt very little time has been added due to minimal stoppages across the second half. It's going to end West Bromwich Albion, Dudley 0. GBG Knights 3. And they will be top of the table. Paul Yates just glancing at his watch. We've had 30 seconds over the regulation time. A goal here will be nothing more than a consolation, but goal difference could play a contributing factor come the end of the season. I don't think Dudley will quite be able to make up ground to challenge towards the summit and or that promotion, that playoff position, but it's a big rebuild for West Bromwich Albion. Dudley, Dave Lewis and Matt Gilbert trying to identify a way of playing, and it takes time to develop players and for them to learn the way they want to play, and that is full time. Dudley 0, GBG Knights 3. Fantastic performance from the Gloucester-based side, who go top of the table. Goal scorers, Reece Mallet and a brace from Troy Willicombe. Thank you to all that are tuned in. I will be next up for Manchester United versus Nottingham Forest.